So Dato Yong, he started life as a reporter and worked his way up to become not only editor-in-chief of Bernama, but also the CEO for several years. And he's now retired, but he's still very much engaged in the media industry, highly sought after. A couple of PLC companies I know have engaged him to be their consultant. And he also writes a column in the New Straits Times. So please, like I said, please welcome Dato Yong. So Dato Yong, maybe if I can turn the spotlight on you now, maybe we can start by you briefly telling us how did you get into the journalism industry and how did you rise up the ranks, and tell us a bit about your background. Over to you, Dato Yong.
Hello.
Yep.
Loud and clear.
Oh, okay, thanks. Hello, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this select group. I think I walked into the lion's den. I never knew there were so many things, so many distinguished people here, so many people with so many great experiences, and I think I can learn from many of you here. So anyway, since Peter said he wants to catch hold of an old reporter to talk to some of you, so I said, why not? Since I have plenty of time now that the lockdown is around, you can't go out. So anyway, okay, I started off as a sports reporter in the Star publication, and then I moved to the Straits Echo. That's a long time ago in the 1970s in Penang. Then was there for about a year, and I thought that it's better to join the government service. So since I learned that there is an existence of this Bernama, the National News Agency, why not? So from there, I joined Bernama, and then I must say that I was lucky because it happened in 1974. That was a long time ago. That was a time when Tun Razak established the diplomatic relations with China. And that was a time that Bernama actually took in the most number of non-Malay people into its organization. And I was lucky among the about 10 of us, and I was in that batch. And until today, never have we actually taken in so many non-Burmese. Until that year, that was very special, 1974. So for Bernama, I became an ordinary reporter. We called it cadet reporter. So I was moved to the business section. It's from there that I rose to become an editor. And sometimes things are fortunate. And then, so then in 2007, this was after the grand old man had stepped down 4 years earlier. And there was a vacancy in the post of editor-in-chief. And because of the liberal environment, I was able to be appointed as editor-in-chief. Subsequently, I became the CEO of Bernama when the position became vacant.
Dato, was this during Abdullah Badawi's time?
The CEO was during Najib Tun Razak's time.
Oh, okay.
In 2012. So it has been an interesting ride, long and interesting ride. And you were asking me how did I actually what do you call that? How do I actually be able to write and then be accepted? I think that the important thing is not to be egoistic when you are a writer, because you must think of yourself as the intermediary of the message. So I thought that I want to be useful because as a reporter or as a journalist, you convey the message on behalf of somebody else. So those people are the experts. We are not the expert. So the best thing would be to employ the use of a very important device called a tape recorder. So I employed the tape recorder and managed to record whoever I interviewed, Although I wrote very fast, but sometimes after you go back to see a notebook, I mean the paper notebook, not the current day notebook, you can't remember what you have written, or you can't decipher what you have written, you see, because I was at the time when they did away with the shorthand in the one of the tests that you have to qualify as a journalist. So I was lucky in that sense. They also have a thing called T line, which they also abolished, and then so since there's no shorthand, there's no T line, I have to write very fast. But then again, tape recorder came into being. Then that was there, because there were some people who at that time was saying, if you have a tape recorder, you don't look good. You become a stenographer. It's not that, because as a journalist, you have to absorb, assimilate what has been told to you, and see what is the hook, what is the best line to write. So in that way, I've gained the confidence of people, and if they want to have something to be written, they look for me, because I'll be able to sort of translate complicated things into simple things that people can grasp. So that was my whole. So other than that, why make things difficult, right? Because after all, somebody gets you to write is in order to go and get other people to buy in. If you try to be too smart, then it gets nowhere. See, so that's the thing that I have done. That sort of thing.
So what I'm hearing from you, Dato, is a lot of humility, a lot of patience, a lot of persistence and perseverance. Am I right?
Yeah. Thank you.
So what does it take to have a good nose, what I call a good nose for news? How do you pick up the news, and how do you know what to focus on and what stories to go for and all that?
I suppose reading a lot is very important, in the sense that once you read, then you keep abreast of developments. When you keep abreast of developments, if you were to see somebody, or you have to see somebody, and if you are well read, then whatever he says, you can interconnect. The interconnectivity during that conversation is very important, because it encourages the news source to speak more and more, because if he says something to you and then you can't follow, or you don't actually follow well, then he may be thinking, I'm speaking to a dud. There's no point talking to him. He won't be able to carry my message. So that is something we as writers or journalists have to be aware. When people say something, then probably you know something about that, and you encourage the speaker to speak more. The other thing is that if you know about that subject well, also you don't try to be too clever, because it is not you who are supposed to be in the news, but it's the other person. But you can use your knowledge about that particular subject to act on that person, or to ask the right question, so that in the end there will be rich content. I've known people who are experienced and all that. Sometimes, in a round table, suddenly the guest of honor is not the person talking the most, but the one asking the question is talking the most. So like that, you see. So you must know who is a news source and who is a writer. So that is important. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. In a little while, Dato, we're going to transition to pick your brains on how to get publicity, and as business owners, what we can do. But before that, can I just ask you to share maybe one or two really interesting and exciting and exceptional memories that you have of your long career as a journalist, as a editor, and so on?
Okay. I think I'd like to talk about two incidents, quite funny, 2 or 3. One was during the September the 1st, 1998. That was when the government decided to impose the exchange control, capital controls, and then there is this
Yes, the 3.8 ringgit. I remember that very well because I was at that time the general manager for Kraft, and all the Kraft products were imported, and we were just going crazy, you know, because the currency was just going crazy, and we were really badly affected. So I remember the imposition of the 3.8
That's right.
exchange,
So
fixed exchange. Yeah. Go ahead.
True.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So then the government wanted to tell their part of the story. Okay, the man in charge then was this guy called Mahathir bin Mohamad. And he wanted to have a live interview on TV. And for the life of me, I didn't know why I was chosen to be part of the live interview at about 4 o'clock, 4:30, that just before the stock market closed, you know. But before that, he wanted to see who was he being interviewed by, you know. So we were asked to go and see him at the Prime Minister's office. It was then behind Bank Negara at Jalan Dato Yong. So the appointed time was 9:30. So I went out at 7:30. I lived in Star Park, and then you use this hot springs way to go about. And suddenly the cars were not moving for about 25 minutes, half an hour, not moving. The clock tick by, and I said, "This is bad. You can't keep the Prime Minister waiting." And it was already 8:30, 8:35. I said, I have to do something drastic. So I got down from my car, and I stopped, and motorcyclist, young boy, I said, "Can you take me somewhere to town in KL for 50 ringgit?" He said, 50 ringgit, sure. You wait for a while, I go back to my house and bring a helmet, let's go. So I jumped on a motorbike. He was taking me. He was moving in and out, and we went to this road in Jalan Genting Kelang, Jalan Pahang, and there I found why there was this huge jam, because there was a fire at the hairdressing salon. And even today, if you pass by the Jalan Genting Kelang, you can see that burnt beauty salon not yet repaired for God knows what reason. So anyway, we cruise along to Jalan on a motorbike because cars were stuck, but we can go move by in the side of the road. From there, we went to the roundabout, Jalan Tun Ismail, Jalan Maxwell, and we entered Bukit Tungku because I know how the shortcut to go to the Prime Minister's department via Bukit Tungku. Now this guy, this hot spring guy, has all his life been staying in Hot Spring and gone to other places. He's never been to Bukit Tungku. Once he went through Bukit Tungku and he saw the majestic houses over there, he slowed down. He said, "Oh my God, where is this place that you are passing? Wow, what a beautiful house. This is a beautiful house. That is a beautiful house." I said, "Hey brother, you please stop looking at all those houses. I've got a very important appointment. After you have dropped me there, you can go slowly and watch the look at the houses. But now you better go." So, to cut a long story short, I managed to reach there on time. So we met this guy, Daim Zanuddin, and from there we went over to see Mahathir. So then after that, okay, he nodded his head, sized us up already. Then we went off. We went to RTM in the afternoon. But of course, when I got back to the school, I still found the car at the side of the road. Nobody has removed the wheels. Nobody has cutted it away. That's one. The second one was
that was quite a ride, huh? Before the days of Gojek. You paid $50 to a motorbike and got to your appointment.
That's right.
Okay.
So that was interesting. That was memorable because you have to think on your feet. You not to be late to.
Yes. Yeah, such an important appointment. They should have sent the Prime Minister's car to fetch you, man.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. Let's move on from there, Dato.
All right.
So as business people, which is the audience, we are always trying to stretch our budget, stretch our dollar. And of course, if we can get good publicity, good write-ups in the media, or good features, or good articles, or good interviews, that will give us a leg up sometimes, no? So a lot of times we don't have the budget to put on TV advertising and so on. So what would be your advice, or how would you suggest to business owners, how should they position themselves? How should they get a media attention? Uh, that kind of thing. What advice can you give to business owners when it comes to media? It's a
Okay.
big topic, I know.
Okay. After hearing from so many people, as a journalist, the thing that pricked my mind was what was said by Mr. Yu from the concrete industry. Because what he said was very unique, and for a reporter, that kind of thing will interest the reporter because it is new, it's never done before, it's reaching out, helping the poor. So in that sense, there is this thing where he will have no problem, but he has to get his act together in order to interest the media. See, so sometimes people are acting alone. Business owners are acting alone. You might be having a small business, but if you walk to the newspaper office and say, "I am a business owner of this kind of business, but can you write something about me?" Surely the newspaper won't, because you are not in the big league and you are just a small business owner. However, for me, I think all is not lost if such business owners can band together and talk to the media, or as a industry-wide body, as an association. So that means you might be doing shoemaking, and you are a shoemaker or whatever, you want to get publicity, but you can't. So, but then how do you get the publicity? So in that case, I would say you have to band together, at least 2 or 3, and go to the media on the association basis. In that way, you'll be speaking from a position of strength. But if you are a business owner fairly large and you're doing something exciting and you want to get the media to cover, because once the media covers, there is this third-party endorsement, because news are curated, fact check and everything. There is this background check whether the person is saying things that are believable or not. So that kind of thing, you can get the interest of the media, but you can't simply call to say, "I've got this," but it will be best that if you put it in a page or 2, what do you do, what do you represent, and then you say, do you think that I can come over to be interviewed, or there is something I want to say something, or sometimes or you might be actually expanding your business, you have an overseas principal coming, then you might invite the media to come. But it's very important to state that what does the business do, how can it benefit the society, and then the media will come. So sometimes some media organizations are so jaded, they will say, "Is there a VIP coming to the opening ceremony?" and all that. Sometimes some people have the fallacy to say, if I invite a deputy minister, or if I invite a minister to come, then guaranteed to have great coverage, because the minister is at my event. Sometimes these things can boomerang when they say, when certain topical matters are the news of the day, and reporters are coming to that particular function that you are doing. You are paying for everything, the amplifiers and the drinks and everything. The reporters come to ask the minister on something else. And then he said the minister was speaking about this during the function where he was at XYZ company launching these concrete products. Just one line or just two lines. How crestfallen can you get? So sometimes the gamble you have to put in. So for me, I think all is not lost, because you can still go back to ask the media to revisit the topic if you are persistent enough, if the story is good enough. So that's why I was talking about the boomeranging of by calling a VIP.
Yes. Backfire. The attention gets diverted to the VIP instead of to your product or your service or whatever you're launching.
I think you must have heard a number of things. So anyway, so there are companies that employ writers in the organization, but sometimes they might not be saying the right things. So saying the right things about a company is very important. Saying the right thing, how does the products, how does the service benefit society is very important. That is where the media would want to report on something that's new.
I guess Dato, what you're saying is we got to put ourselves into the shoes of the media owner or the publication or the reporter, where they want to educate their readers on a particular issue, like you say something topical or something about the environment or something useful to the society, and angle it that way. Am I right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. However, now that there is this new media, social media, and all that, there is this new platform where you can actually bypass the curation of the mainstream media. Like just now, the gentleman who says that he does Facebook marketing and all that kind of thing. So this is a medium where you can actually circumvent the snooty editors, snooty reporters, and you do a promotion on yourself, and you self-promote. The self-promotion is very important when you have everything well edited, well written, and then these things go viral. So when things go viral, then it is where the mainstream media will follow the social media, and that's when you will get the call from the mainstream media. I want to interview you, and you get a free.
Okay. So that was better, right? To be called for the interview rather than you trying to pitch yourself for an interview.
That's right. Excellent. So you can do a self-promotion via the social media, WhatsApp or this Facebook. So all is not lost. All is not, but you have to go and tell the story yourself, because you can't be expecting other people to tell your story. If you meet a brick wall, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Now I know some people in the legal profession. I won't mention names. And the Bar Council doesn't allow lawyers to advertise themselves and promote themselves. So what they do is they bring certain reporters and all that. I won't mention those names as well, but they bring them to Selangor Club and all that. And then from there they get some coverage. Is that something that works? Or and then should people try to make friends with reporters, or should they make friends with the editor, or how does this thing work? Or does it work at all?
Yes. So you're talking about lawyers, you're talking about court cases, court cases which they want to highlight. They want to highlight a certain client of theirs. They are fighting and suing that person and all that. So sometimes this networking does work in the sense that because you picture yourself as a reporter, and sometimes the editor will choose to place a rookie, a new person, to be at the call. Sometimes there are two, sometimes you are just alone. And in the closed chambers, you do not know what's going on unless you get a tip off, because you can't be popping your head and then So sometimes you are afraid, "Hey, if I listen to this case, would there be another exciting case?" So sometimes, as far as I know, the court reporters will try to coordinate to sort of to work among themselves. If you go to court 1, I'll be at court 2, and the other person. So we exchange notes at the end of the day. So at least they don't get red faced when somebody has got that news in the newspapers and the other person doesn't have, and you get shelling from your boss. So that is one thing. The other thing, like you were saying about lawyers getting media to cover their cases, then it is up to their own volition to go the extra mile so as to highlight the case, because you will, on an ordinary day, you walk to the KL courts, you won't know what's happening unless you see this guy called Najib bin Tun Razak, that he know his case, the one MTV case, that's SRC is very famous, but there are other cases, you see. So I suppose you have to do the homework and get the reporters to be interested. So, but the other side of things is that the reporter has got to be very careful not to be misled by the lawyer. He has got to take a neutral view also. But some lawyers are helpful because it is the court or the giving the explanatory terms to the reporter, and that some lawyers are very good. They help the reporters to understand the terms better, so that the news is written properly, rather than there are mistakes and then you want to make a correction the next day. You don't want that to happen. So it works both ways, it is how you manage the intermediary, so to speak.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Dato, I'm going to use myself as an example, no? So let's say I want to come up with a book, maybe a second book or whatever, and I want to get the book to be known by, let's say, the business community, so that they'll buy my book, read my book, talk about my book. And I need to tell the world that, hey, I'm launching this book, no? And the media scene, I guess, is pretty fragmented, no? So on the one hand, you got some TV channels, you got radio stations, you got the print media, you got journals, and then you got social media. And also, what would be your advice to me let's say if I'm going to launch a book in a few months' time, which I'm not, but let's say I am, what would be your advice for me to approach the media to get some publicity and attention, and maybe 1 or 2 interviews if possible?
Okay, there are several levels to that. One is to have somebody notable from the Ministry of International Trade and Industry to launch your book at the Lake Club or somewhere, or failing which, minister, deputy minister, or I don't know about the roles of secretaries general these days, but sometimes some media get so jaded, it's just a secretary general, it's not much weight, But sometimes you need not have to have okay, you don't get meaty, then you get the domestic trade. If you don't get domestic trade, you might want to, you have friends in the company, what do you call that, the SSM, maybe somebody notable there. That's one thing. Or you can get ex-ministers. You can get Madam Rafida, probably, okay, to be the person launching the book, right? And or else you can give an advance copy to the media to write a review first, and then that would help to sell. But getting an important person at the launch is important, so that there will be publicity during the launch, and that's it. I suppose getting a VIP is important. If you don't get it, you don't get the person, then you try the other way, is to send the book to the media and then get it reviewed. You also get publicity in that way. Yeah, I think sometimes the reporter writing the review, or sometimes the reporter at the launch may not have the time to read what is the book is all about. So you get good synopsis of the book, then that will be important. And then people say, oh yeah, so you get this Peter Lam. If I read Peter Lam's book, 5 chapters, I can be on my way to buying my first Rolls Royce already. Okay. then there will be surefire. Yeah. So maybe like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I suppose you got to plan. You got to plan. You got to plan about the launch. It's important, and give at the launch is also very important in the sense that you must give time to the media to interview the VIP and you. Don't be so caught up by the day's event and you forget a minute. That will be another drawback. Yeah.
Okay. So if I do have that event, it's not so much about selling the books and autographing the books, but maybe talking to the media and answering their questions and having a chat. And like you say,
Yes.
together with the VIP if I get one.
You want that printed thing about Peter Lam and his book, and then people say, oh yeah, Peter Lam is having a book, then that's good. You can also do Facebook notification ahead of the time, so you do a hype. And the hype is also very important, that it's 2 months from now that you're going to launch, and then somebody is coming, you bombard your audience with all that. That will create the hype also. Or you may say a few lines from one of the very pertinent chapters. You can what does the book help the reader to benefit from, and that is something which can get people's attention. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. I mean, I'm just using myself as an example, but some of the people here could be, I know they got products they want to launch, or products they want to get publicity, or even their own company, depending on what business they're in. So,
yeah. So for example, the president of the SME Association of Malaysia, Michael Kang, he's also quite a media puller. So you can get hold of him also. You get Michael Kang, you get media. From what I see like that,
okay.
It doesn't have to be.
People who attract media attention.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Very good. Okay. So I guess to wrap it up, before we open to questions from the others, any last words in terms of going forward? The industry, as you say, you can already see the social media trends taking over. The traditional media, I guess, is going to continue their decline, maybe stabilize at some point. But going forward, what would be your advice to business owners in terms of media usage, and where to focus, how to focus?
I think sometimes, okay, I give you one example. It's quite, sometimes traditional media may be out of fashion. It's also very expensive. Say, for example, two days, yesterday, there was one person from China Press said, do you think you can get Bernama to interview my client? Oh, he's a property developer. Oh, why? I was thinking to myself, why me? Okay, never mind. Maybe I still can have some clout in Bernama. Okay. So I said, this guy wants to sell houses, and then he wants to get China Press to interview your client. And that person who called me is a advertising canvasser or advertising agent in the China Press. So I was saying, so you are asking me to get Bernama to write, and then you get the money, and then that's it. I said that doesn't work that doesn't seem to be very good. So you are just making use of the government to get this guy to have maximum publicity, and Bernama gets nothing. So I reckon that the China press advertising, if it does half a page, would maybe cost about 20,000, that sort of thing. And I said, why don't you consider advertising in Bernama? It's only 2,500 ringgit 1 month, not one insertion. So it's 1 month. You get the publicity, and I reckon that people do go into Bernama.com. You see, so these are the things where you can consider not actually going into the traditional advertising, but the new media advertising, or on the web advertising, which is equally effective, because if you put you want to sell these houses in certain places in Belakong, and then you got to say all these lovely things. I'm sure when people go into Bernama, they will get to read it. Of course, it's cheaper than Facebook or Google, but I suppose that Facebook or Google is cheaper than China press. So anyway, that is being worked out. So I'm saying that we have to move with the times. The times where newspapers are saying that we are the kings of the messaging are no longer there, because with the advent of the internet in 1997, 1998, the whole complexion has changed. Yes. So business owners will have to move with the times. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thanks a lot, Dato. And just in case, I know you do some in your spare time, you do some consulting and you help out businesses as well. So if there's anyone in the audience who wants to contact you, what would be the best way?
They can contact my email there, if there's an email, or not. In the WhatsApp group, you just have to message me, and then we'll see where we can talk, and then how we move to another step forward. Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. So, I'm always reachable. So I always try to lend a helping hand to people who want to amplify their businesses. No problem, because no point trying to knock down somebody, isn't it? Better amplify, and he benefits. Then he might buy me a sugarcane drink or a soya bean.
Okay, thanks a lot, Dato.